run the jungle, and if you don't know me, I'm a hangry animal, and you know that I'm hungry. We got zebras.
Hey Hangry Animals fans, how's it going? Yeah, this is Andy. Sorry it's been a while. Had some stuff going in IRL land that needed to take care of. So, in the meantime, behind the scenes, we've been plowing on and doing our thing, and hopefully I'll give you some updates here. So, menu design and the whole UI is coming together really nicely, as you can see. But what I really wanted to show you today was we've got Shalakis alien drones in the design, and up until now all you've seen is placeholder aliens that we've been using from the Unity asset store. So I felt it was about time that we introduced our unique custom aliens that we've created from scratch. So behold, this is one of the Shalakis drones, where it's a six-legged spiky beast with a glowing toxin tarball laden tail, a bit of a chompy mouth full of teeth, and then two giant horn style spikes, very spider-like, that will maul you if you get too close. This one just wanted to show like an early iteration that we were working on, where we had this like blended spike decal where it faded from a hot white to the purple range that we had in the character, and then this very greasy, slimy shell skin that we've created for the character. And then what I then went ahead and done was create an armature for it. So all of our characters, we have a skeleton build inside them so that we can manipulate them with a technique called IK, inverse kinematics. And as you can see, the legs have this inverse kinematic style. So when you move the body, it reacts as in like our knees and our elbows do, where they're hinged together so that they move as a unit. And because this character's got 6 legs, I wanted to make sure that we've got controllers that I can animate each of those legs independently, but also when I move the body or the tail, then and the head rotations, that works just as well. So this is me testing out the rig itself, and as you can see, it just bent through the body. So what I'll do for animation is I'll put on rotation constraints to prevent the legs from kind of clashing and moving through the body, so that it makes it easier when it comes to animating. So all we've got here really is a series of clips just demonstrating the look. I then went ahead and painted a lot of the glossy details that we had on the character to make sure that you picked up some of the detailing and the highlighting on the legs and on the shell, on the crustacean shell in the game, which I thought was super cool. It looks great in Blender. That glowy tail is going to look awesome when we get it into the game environment to test as well. This is pretty comprehensive. We then moved on to begin the process of creating a series of animations. And this is a double prong attack, where the 2 front legs are used to spike your character in combat. So watch those front claws. They're a dangerous bunch. This is me in Blender using the NLA, or non-linear actions timeline, to show you really how we put animation sequences together. So all of these individual sequences can then be exported to Unity, and I can pick them out and select them from the controller to place them in the game for certain interactions. As you can see, there's a single single spike attack. So I think I'm building about 5 or 6 different attacks, as well as walks, chases, creeps, taunts. So we have a taunt as well, and a faster chase towards you. The only thing that we haven't figured out yet, I haven't implemented from an animation perspective, is rotation. So the ability to rotate. So there's a little taunt going on there, which I think is pretty cool. So all of these have been hand keyed and hand animated in Blender over the weekend in preparation to install into the game testing environment. It's cool to see it in full color, but as you can see, when we animate, we don't really look at it in full color. And this is a very curious sequence where you see me animating frame by frame. So you see me putting some keyframes in place to build up the sequence where your character hits the alien drone, and it topples it on its back. So it's the final death rattle, I guess, the death blow for the creature. So I'm just hand positioning some of the legs. So as it abruptly flips on its back, then we're moving each of the legs individually so that when it lands on its back and the shell is rocking back and forth as it comes to a stop, and then all of the 6 legs then come to a rest. So I'm just keying in the legs and rotating them so it looks like they're hitting the floor once the shell has stopped rocking back and forth and such. So it's got a fun sequence to animate. I really enjoy doing it, actually, just sitting there chilling, looking, playing it back, looping the sequence just to understand in real time, does it look cool? You know, when you animate things, there's a sense of realism about it, but because this is a game and because we want to have some fun aspects to it, I wanted to make sure that the sequence looks quite cool and quirky. So when you play it back in real time, I think we're doing 30 frames a second here for the game engine, you can see that it looks odd in the rotation. So I need to make sure that it almost feels like a blow, like a final blow or a final punch. So your final laser blast from the weapon will knock the shell backwards, rotate it on its back, and then all of the legs will kind of flail out in front of you as if gravity has taken hold, and that kinetic energy is being expelled by the legs. So pow, there it goes, spins over, and then I'm keying each of these legs as if it's like dissipating the energy that is collected in the body. So that's where I adjusted the leg to almost have it sort of thrown forward in front of the creature. It happens so quickly as well when you knock it over that some of it feels weird, but the more I repeat the steps and the more you roll back and forth, you can see that it sort of makes sense. So I'm trying to take that energy, and then as it rocks back and forth, it's sort of dying. It's taking its last breath and dying. So those legs will flop to the sides, and I've just got one final leg to do here. And keying these sequences, it's just real fun. You know, I haven't animated for a while. You know, getting back into the swing of things of doing 6-legged walk cycles, even 2-legged walk cycles, but 6-legged walk cycles is nuts. When you've got arachnids that are 8-legged or a 6-legged crustacean like this, there is a certain formula to the way the legs move, and it's fascinating to do the research and understand how these creatures are able to progress forward, you know, to project themselves forward. There's a pattern, and once you unlock the mystery of the pattern of the leg movement, it just becomes so easy and just so motivated to continue creating these things. So I think we're almost there with this sequence, and you can see that these legs are falling they're flopping, boosh, then it settles in and the shell is rocked to a stop, and then boop, it'll snap out of the game, it'll disappear from the game environment. So what I do now is I switch off all the rig and I look at it in real time with its textures and the glows and stuff, so I can try and understand, does it look right? And yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. There's 2 different death sequences that we will randomize between the creatures. One of them, the creature falls on its back and rocks back and forth like it is in this one, but the other one just arches backwards and slumps to the floor, so it hits the deck basically without rolling on its back. And I'll show you that in a little bit. It's cool to repeat and keep testing these things out. So I think now there's death 1, death 2. Let's see if I can get that one up. Boosh. It's cool. I quite like what's happening. Yeah, here we go. So here's the other death. It goes flops and then die. So it's like a struggle, and then you can see the life leaving it, which I thought was pretty cool. Now, obviously, because it takes, I think it's like 200 points, so it takes 200 hits to destroy some of these bigger Shalakis drone aliens. So what I wanted to do was introduce some player feedback. And what that involves is, once you hit the alien and it's not dying, it's just losing energy or losing points, then there's the opportunity to simply, take damage. So initially I had it where the head was hitting, like bobbing downwards, but then I thought in other sequences I've got it reeling back and it's like rocking its head upwards. So I eventually changed that to rotate the head upwards and rock the body back a bit. And that felt a bit better because it's more in line with the personality of the creature, I think. So that was much happy with that. And it was a very short sequence to do. It was about 13, 14 frames in total. And some of you may notice it's surprising how short some of the sequences of animation we create are for injecting these characters into the game. So, and then we're just building and building on top of that. So the last thing really that I need to do, and we haven't tackled it yet, is rotation on the spot. So when we have this thing called a nav mesh, a navigation mesh, and that is to allow all the enemies to wander around a fixed area, territory in the game. So that nav mesh is for those aliens to patrol. Now the rotations is controlled by scripting. Bearing that in mind, we need to get the animations to sync when they rotate. So that's the last thing I need to do with this creature to make those rotations look a bit more believable. And this is me just testing again what those taunt sequences look like when I deform the mesh of the creature's skin, making sure that it doesn't deform anything. And this is just a test sequence because I wanted to make sure that the creature looked good with motion blur on it, because we will obviously be using these characters for animation sequences as well, pure animation sequences, not just game. And this is us just doing a brief test in the game. You can see Chet, an early version of Chet there. Hey, how's it going, dude? And then these big freaking beasts arrive on the scene, and we're just testing out the damage. Bang, 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 and then flip. You hit them 3 or 4 times, and they land on their backs. At the moment, it only the death sequence is only a single death sequence. I want some variety, so got to work on the hit points, so the position at which we can hit them. At the moment it is the undercarriage, So this is just me testing out, how quickly we can tackle them. Does the animation work right? Does the patrolling state work right? And then, idle states as well. The advancement of the creatures is pretty rapid, so they run at you quite quickly. And then the transition to the death sequence is pretty good. And then we got two more beasts to tackle. I haven't turned on Chet's damage on this one because I want to make sure that we can just we can get rid of these creatures initially before I go and switch on that damage. But he did good. He got rid of some aliens for us. That's it. I've rambled on quite enough for the moment, but thank you very much. Peace out.
I run the jungle, and if you don't know me, I'm a hangry animal, and you know that I'm hungry.